Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Ugly is in the heart of all. Yin and yang, opposites attract, maintaining an equilibrium. And for all, duality is law. Sprouting in our consciousness breathes life into fraternal twins. Yin and yang, opposites attract, maintaining an equilibrium. Perception and judgment, dual concepts with unique coding for the consciousness which they call home. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Ugly is in the heart of all. Pearls, seashells and diamonds, plastic, rubbish, possibly diapers, treasure or trash, however you take it. Treasure and trash is what you make it. Coexistence, duality and equilibrium. For every ugly is paired with a pretty. For every pretty is different in every city. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but ugly is in the heart of all. Don't wince at the word. Understand the term. Ugly is good. Ugly is bad. Ugly is whatever you make it. But we know it might be your dad. Okay, stop. Let me bring it back. Ugly is in the heart of all. It's the part we ignore and don't consider when we tell ourselves, we're that nigga. The coexistence of opposites is law. The truth is, you are a bad bitch and that nigga. But yeah, you got some ugly in you that you should consider. When I see you, I see a whole being. A complex view of you is what I'm perceiving. Yin and yang, a tale of natural law. What you see and what you saw resonates, different to each core. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and ugly is in the heart of all. If two halves make a whole, one without the other leaves a... Yeah. Perception and judgment are keys to the same door. Click. Hello, why aren't you clicking? Like, hello? Like, was a banging poem made by me. Yeah, thank you. Oh, the click was so you could click. You know that though. Anyways, hello beautiful people. Hello. I'm your host Brianna. Welcome to the Socks Off podcast. This is your first time here. Welcome. I don't usually do poems as like intros to my episodes. I think it's going to be something that I just start including. I've always wanted to do that. I've been so shy to do that and like put my work out there, and you know, oh my god, it's so weird being perceived. Oh my god, what do you mean people are listening to my poems, like my corny ass poems? But they're not that corny if I'm brave enough to put them online, you know what I mean? But I hope you guys liked the poem, and yeah, I'm gonna explain a little bit as to why I made the poem and you know what it means to me and all that lovely stuff. I sound like I'm not enthusiastic about it. I generally am. Let's get into it. So recently I've been rewatching and just casually watching pieces of media. I really enjoy film and cinema and all of that stuff. So I was like, oh, let me see what I've liked in the past and let me see if I still like it now. And let me just see stuff that's like literally on my list, because I don't know about you guys, I have a whole laundry list of movies and shows that I need to be watching. Have I watched a lot of them? No, most of them are suggestions from friends that you know, like most of the time when people suggest something to you, especially when it's something that you should watch, you're like, oh yeah, let me put it on. And then you forget about it, and then you remember, but it's like you don't have the motivation to watch it anymore because somebody suggested it to you. Like, it's some like weird reverse psychology. Like when someone tells you to watch something, you don't want to do it anymore. What's that about? But this poem was very interesting to me, especially like after I wrote it, because I'm like, oh, okay, like she's getting back into poetry finally. That's a start, number one. And number two, yeah, I feel like these are concepts that we already kind of talk about, like duality being law, beauty and what you think is ugly is just subjective, blah blah blah. Like these aren't concepts that are new, guys, come on. But I think the way that I've spoken about them is pretty interesting, because I was more so thinking about the stuff that I've consumed, like media that I've consumed and reconsumed, and how my opinions have varied each way. Or even like I'll watch something new in the moment, I'm like, oh okay, like I think of it in this way, and then I don't know, a couple days later I'll think back to it, the media that I've consumed, I'm like, oh actually my opinions kind of changed. But it doesn't mean that either opinion cancels out each other. It's just more that it's like a developed opinion. So when it comes to perception and judgment, I feel like for me, they work hand in hand. And that's kind of why in the poem I was like, two halves make a whole, one without the other leaves a... You fill in the blank, bitch. What else could it be? Come on. Quick thinking skills, quick math skills. The reason why I wrote that is because I just was thinking about perception and judgment. Like, without judgment, you can't really have, like, an informed perception of things. Let me break it down, because I'm just saying a lot of English words right now. A lot of fancy English words, and it's just not, you know, maybe it is, and you're just sitting there like, no, I get it, bitch. Anyways, ultimately, when you perceive anything, well, for me, in this case, my perception was just the stuff that I was consuming. When you perceive anything, you're going to have some sort of judgment to it, because that is what informs your opinion. And judgment doesn't have to be a negative thing either, but judgment is a thing that it comes from your heart, and it's how you feel towards things, how the stuff that you are perceiving, or the stuff that you consume, how it makes you feel, and that's what judgment is. I feel like when we think of things, like when we think of the sentiment of judgment, I know that in a religious context, we're taught, especially in Christianity, that like we're taught judgment is a sin, and you know, don't judge others. It's kind of seen as like a negative thing, but I'm gonna reel it back, and I'm gonna say that judgment is neither positive nor negative. It's literally whatever you make it. That's why I was like, treasure and trash is what you make it. If you think something is trash, it could be literally one man's trash is another man's treasure. Like, but even just that, like the thought of judgment being a sin, even though we kind of need it to perceive things, is just kind of contradictory. But obviously, again, take things how you will. Like, when you read the Bible and you read its translations, it's always going to be different to everyone else. But this isn't me Bible bashing or whatever the heck. This isn't that sort of episode. I don't care about your religious points of view. I really couldn't give a fuck. But I'm open to hearing them, obviously. But I'm not here to talk about them. So, but yeah, I think perception and judgment work hand in hand, because you need to, let's say, like, I don't know, I'm watching something, and in order to make my opinion and to form my perception, I need judgment behind that. And judgment comes from the things that you feel. Like, oh, I'm judging something this way because it made me feel like this. That is judgment. That's literally all that judgment is, guys. It's literally just your opinion. Yeah, that's literally it. And your opinion will form your perception on anything and reality and all of that stuff. That's why I'm like, yeah, like it works hand in hand. Duh. One film... And you know, when I bring up the film, you're going to be like, of course. One film that I think, you know, like encapsulates this kind of idea so freaking well. Guys, I almost cried in the cinema. I had to hold it together. I don't like crying in the cinema, but no, I had to hold it together. I watched Wicked for Good with my sister ages ago. But I was kind of like holding off on watching that, because it's just... If you're already a Wicked fan, like I'm not gonna say like I'm a huge Wicked fan like that, but when the movies came out, because I'm a huge Ariana Grande fan, and like I love to see her work, baby. Like, what do you mean you're acting? Hell yeah, I'm gonna see that. So yeah, I was like, okay, cool, let me watch it. I watched Wicked number 1, freaking loved it, and then number 2, I feel like it really just adds layers. Guys, I love onions. What do you mean by that? I love onions. Do you know why I love onions? Because they're layered. Okay, that's a metaphor, if you didn't know. Anything can be an onion. I just love layers. But watching Wicked for Good definitely put like a full stop to everything in terms of like perception, in terms of how I saw the films and how I saw each character as well. Every character kind of had like a well-rounded moment where I could understand them more. And this is why I bring up onions. Hello. So in the first film, everything, obviously it's like the introduction, so it's always going to be surface level. No matter what intro you do, everything will always be surface level. So when you get to know the characters, it's going to be surface level. I think when I watched the second film though, and I've already had like a bit of understanding of who the characters are meant to be and stuff, seeing their perspectives on a deeper level but then also seeing also seeing how others perceive them. Like, so seeing how Galinda's perceived by the public. Everyone loves Galinda, you know, she is Miss Popular, she's the good witch, da 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 da. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, she's fucking up her best friend. Like, she's fucking over her best friend, but then her best friend is made out to be, like, in the film, to be like this, you know, misunderstood witch. Meanwhile, she's also doing wicked things as well. Like, that whole film, like, everyone in Oz is literally wicked. And a film like that, honestly, the reason why I almost cried, it's because it's just, I love the layering of it all. I think a big thing that I took away from that film, which kind of reflects in the poem, honestly, a big thing that I took away from the film is that coexistence is law. Like, coexistence of opposite things is law. Duality is law. Like, these are things that we live with, but we're just, like, not always considering. So ugly and bad can be a thing, but then ugly and good can also be a thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, ugly is not synonymous with bad, but then good is not synonymous with pretty. And watching a film like that, it really teaches you that we are all kind of a little bit wicked. Yeah, we are a little bit wicked, and it's all right. Okay, it's all right as long as you're just honest about it. Come on. But in order to, I guess, move through the world with discernment, you do need to have judgment, and you shouldn't look at yourself any weirdly for having some sort of judgment. You should have a bit of judgment in the world so that you have, like, an informed decision. Any decisions you make are informed, because that will shape your perception on life in everything, in every single way. Let me give you an example. Okay, again, don't hate me for this. Let's say there's a girl out there who's like, I really need to make money, and the best way I need to make money is, you know, doing content creation, but I'm talking about, you know, OF, that sort of stuff. Now, she might look at that situation and use her judgment and be like, yeah, this is a great way of making money. This is a great way of just sustaining my life. It's easy. I can get through. Like, I don't have to worry about nothing. That's her judgment, and that has shaped her perception on life. You know, if she does this career for a living, whether others agree with it or not, and it's controversial, whatever, if she's happy in that career lane, and if that's what's making her money and making her happy, and that's what she feels is successful, that is her perception of success. Something that's easygoing, something where she can use herself as leverage to, you know, an easy life. That's, yeah. I know that's not, like, a cute example. I know you were expecting, like, oh my god, like, imagine, you know, an artist is just sat with her canvas and she's painting. She's like, what colours should I choose? No, guys, sometimes I just raw dog the explanations, but it has to be said. Now, whether you agree or not with her judgment is besides the point. The point that I'm making is that judgment can be ugly and judgment can be good. Like, judgment can be ugly and it can also be good. Like, there's no tied sentiment to anything, and that's what duality, like, teaches us. Like, everything kind of just exists, and two opposites can exist at the same time too. And just because you've judged something with, like, I wouldn't say, yeah, like, not ugly, but yeah, no, is it? If you've judged something with, like, an ugly mindset, that doesn't mean that the next person's gonna judge it with the same ugly mindset either. But that doesn't also mean that that's not an excuse to be a fucking shitty person. I'm just saying, like, it exists within us, but it's something that we tend to ignore because we want to seem like we are the most purest, perfect forms of human beings. But when you think about it, the way we view reality is based on our judgment. So that's literally what the poem means to me, guys. And then to circle back to, like, media that I've consumed and stuff, the reason why, again, I've made this poem, so many reasons, but I was also just thinking about a podcast episode to release. I was like, oh, I really do want to talk about like the media that I've consumed, because not everything has to be a deep philosophical essay, but sometimes things are just that deep, whether I realize it or not. Like, I'll be talking and then it just ends up being a deep conversation anyways. Like, so this is just your sign, like, you can actually just make content out of anything. It's so rich of me saying that, and I haven't like posted in ages. Guys, I'm trying. I'm trying. This economy is not for the weak. But yeah, maybe I'll just like start. I've already started. Maybe I'll just continue with like faceless content for now, which is really annoying because I really want to delve into visual content. But oh my god, I'm sidetracking and I'm ranting like you're my therapist. Anyways, I'm gonna read out the films that I've watched recently that kind of give the vibe of the poem. Dreamgirls, you know, the one with Beyonce. Love Jones, you know, the one with Nia Long. 16 Wishes, you know, the one with Debbie Ryan. Frozen, you know, the one with Elsa. Geek Charming, you know, the one with Sarah Hyland. And Wicked for Good, you know, the one with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. Yeah, okay, period. Let's get into it. Not all of it, though. I can't lie to you. I'm not going to get into all of it. I'm just going to touch base on some of them, because it's not about each individual thing that I've watched, but it's just more like how all of them felt and like the consistent theme that's going on. Yeah. So I watched 16 Wishes not long after my birthday. I've already watched 16 Wishes like 1,000 times. But I was just like, oh my god, my older sister, I think she said she has watched it, but like wasn't really paying attention. Anyways, I was like, oh my god, like let's just put this on as like a family film. Like, it's a couple days after my birthday. I'm still celebrating, guys. If you're not celebrating your birth season, let's say I'm a Pisces. I'm celebrating the whole Pisces season as my birthday. I just think one day is way too short. What do you mean one day and that's it? Excuse me? It's a celebration. It's a congregation. Get all together. Hello, it's Pisces season. Anyways, so my family and I were watching 16 Wishes, and the whole premise of that film is that, you know, the girl gets the candles and she's got her wish list, and each candle corresponds to the number on the wish list, blah blah blah. If you watch the film, you know, but that's just a quick rundown. And the whole film is literally, be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. That's literally the film. And there's a point in the film where, spoiler if you are interested in watching it, there's a point in the film where she wishes that she gets treated like an adult, and then she blows out the candle and she jumps from 16 to 21. And I'm like, that's so interesting because I'm 21 with no kids and I'm watching this. Like, hello, is this a sign? Anyways, I feel like that film spoke to me a bit more because, you know, that it was that girl's birthday. It was my birthday, you know, a couple days after I just watched that. So I was like, oh my god, like, there's something in the water. You know, I'm a Pisces and I'm tasting the water and I'm this is a little different. This is a different salt that you guys put in the water. What's going on here? Let's explore. Let's dig deep. I feel like from that film, it's taught me that it's easy to see things and, you know, judge it in a way where it suits your interests or it just suits your perception. So, for example, she looked at her fucking high school crush, right? She's looked at her high school crush and be like, oh my god, like, yeah, I want to date him, da 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 da. And then she gets to a point, like, maybe towards the end of the film where she's not even feeling him like that for real. She's not even feeling him like that for real. And her judgment has completely changed based on how, number one, she's perceived the guy, but number two, like, just how he's made her feel. Like, how he's made her feel has affected her judgment, and her judgment has affected her perception of him. And that literally just goes for anything she starts wishing for. Like, the way she blows out the candles and it makes her feel will change her judgment, which will then change her perception on anything she basically wished for, which is just so interesting. I think it's really easy to also forget, like, natural law is just that, natural law. And that's kind of what I'm trying to, like, I wouldn't say unpack, but ever since turning 21 with no kids, Yeah. Starting to realize that, like, in order to actualize, you kind of just need to be okay with the way, I wouldn't say the way the world is, but nobody's gonna ever be okay with the world is, but it's just about content and just kind of moving forward regardless. And duality just is a very interesting way of understanding that concept. That's how I'm just kind of moving through with life, because it's like one thing could seem a certain way, but then you kind of just, you inform yourself about it and you learn about it and you make your judgment about it, and then your perception will change. So yeah, that's kind of, I feel like, no, let me go deeper, because I don't want to listen back to this and I'm being surface level, do you know what I mean? But I've stopped judging myself and stopped making myself feel bad for, if, like, you know, a certain bad thought will come in my mind, I won't feel bad anymore, because I'm just like, I'm human. Yes, sometimes I'm gonna have some weird judgments against people and whatever the heck, that is okay, as long as I don't perceive it in a way where it's negative and I'm just like, oh, okay, that's just like a passing thought, just continue on and move on. Or even when it's negative judgments towards myself, do you know what, guys, I'm gonna tell you something. I've recently started the gym, and yeah, doing something like that, it will really it really is character building, because that is a point where I have to be honest with myself. Like, I look at myself and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't like this about myself, I don't like that about myself. But where my perspective on judgment itself has changed, this is how I look at it now. Instead of being like, oh, I need to change that about myself, yeah, like, I'm so shitty, like, whatever, and then just do nothing about it. Now that I've started the gym, I can look at myself and be like, do you know what? I don't really quite, I'm not sure if I like these back rolls, but instead of just looking at myself and like, these back rolls, I'm like, hey, I'm glad that I have the opportunity to change it. I'm glad that I can look at them and be like, hey, do you know what? Instead of looking at this as a pitfall and a downfall, let me look at this as like something to, like, work on and be positive about. Something that, like, motivates me to continue to go to the gym. And it's not even about the physicality of it all. It's more just like my mental state and how I perceive things, full stop. And yeah, being 21, it's not even just like the moment I hit 21, I woke up, I was like, oh my god, wow, I've just had an epiphany. No, guys, like, it was obviously building up to it. But it's definitely the idea that judgment is subjective and it doesn't always have to be good or bad. It just is. And perception isn't, you know, good or bad. It just is. But the two work together to form your opinion. I wouldn't even say opinion. I'd say more your outlook on life, because perception is literally just what you consume and what you can see. That's how I see it anyways. Is what you consume and what you see, and then judgment is how those things make you feel. And then put together, it just creates your view on life. Honestly, I will say I feel way more at peace, guys. I do. I feel way more at peace just not looking at things with a negative judgment, because with that, just, it comes so much fucking stress, guys. I'll be so real. So much bloody stress, and then I just start overthinking and procrastinating. Like, even when it comes to releasing podcast episodes and just making content again, like, oh my god, I know this is like I wouldn't say it's a consistent theme. This time I actually have a good excuse. Let me not even front. Okay, guys, I'm a real person and not everything has to be philosophical and deep. I just need that shmoney, okay? I'm saving up for that laptop, okay? But no, on a real though, I'm less hard hitting on myself, and I don't feel like I need to rush, because that sentiment of just judgment itself, I'm like, hey, like, why does it need to be negative? Yeah, okay, cool, I judge things, and I judge myself, and the whole thought of judging, it doesn't have to be negative. It can be something that I actually use, and that's it's constructive. It can be a tool rather than like a weapon. Okay, this is why I'm a poet. Hello. Okay, low-key, I am actually trying to drag out this episode because I don't want it to be too short. I'm working on making it maybe like an hour long. We'll see how long this goes, but if you feel in this episode, let me know. How do you find me putting my poems in the beginning of the podcast episode? Do you like that? Do you not? I don't really care. I just want to know your opinion anyways, actually, because again, it will inform my decision. That's another thing too. Again, when it comes to like when it came to watching Wicked and seeing multiple perspectives, it's like watching it from like a bird's eye view almost. Like you're seeing Oz from a bird's eye view and you're seeing these characters from a bird's eye view. Like they're all living their own lives and we have cuts of the film, different scenes of the film where we are basically living in the perspective of each character. But because we've bounced around each character's perspective, like we've bounced around each character's perspective and we've bounced around each character's perspective of like, I don't know, this is very paradoxical, but let me try and break it down. Glinda sees Elphaba in a certain way, Elphaba sees Glinda in a certain way, but the way Glinda thinks, the way y'all, I promise I'm not stupid, the way Glinda thinks Elphaba thinks about her, basically, that's it, yeah, is going to be different from how Elphaba perceives herself, and vice versa. The way Elphaba sees Glinda is this like poppy princessy girl, but she obviously sees a different side to her as well. But the perception that she's got of her friend will always be different to the perception her friend has of herself anyways. Do you know what I mean? Let me break it down now. That film has that same consistent theme running around where basically the way we see ourselves is always going to be different to the way others see ourselves. And you know what? I might tie it back to astrology as well. Fuck it. There's a house in astrology called the 12th house, and it's basically meant to be like your shadow self, and a self that is like the self of you. What? It's the side of you that you cannot see, but everyone can see. You cannot see, but everyone can see. And it's like, imagine like trying to see the back of yourself, but you literally cannot. Like eyes at the back of your head, you can't visualize what's going on behind you. It's not even that you can visualize it, but you can't see literally what's going on behind you, but others can. Yeah, that's what the Wicked film gives me, guys. Because there were certain parts of Glinda where for the life of her she could not see how she was in the wrong. And same with Elphaba. She could not see how she was in the wrong. She honestly thought she was doing everything to her best of her ability, but honestly, watching from a bird's eye point of view or just from a different perspective, it's easy to place judgment and be like, so Glinda, no. But, as the viewer or even as like another character, you're seeing everyone judge each other, but everyone's informed judgment is completely different. And again, back to my poem as well. Back to this poem is like, when I talk about judgment, I basically like saying, no, judgment is not the same for everyone. Like, again, the way I judge people is always going to be different from the way you judge people. Even if we come to the same conclusion, the way that I've broken things down and the way that I've understood it and the way my brain is like working to word things and articulate the sentiment will always be different to how you break it down and blah blah blah, even if it's the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, we could look at the same thing and be like, oh, okay, and then we're both asked about, okay, so how does this make you feel, aka what's your judgment on it? The conclusion could be the same, but again, because we're different people and we've lived different lives and blah blah blah, and the way our emotions emote what the way our emotions run will always be different based on our experiences and stuff, blah blah blah. Oh my god, I feel like I'm rambling, guys. Wait, what? Anyways, what I'm trying to say is I love the multi-layering of Wicked for Good because it's not about one specific thing. It shows you that multiple things, multiple realities, multiple perceptions, multiple judgments can exist at the same time, and that's kind of what adds color to the world and what makes everything so beautiful and kumbaya, blah blah. Let's talk about Frozen. So I've watched this film in 2013. How old was I then? You know what, if you can do the maths, that'd be very great, because just about past maths, I don't need to I don't need to stress about it again. What the fuck? Anyways, so I remember watching Frozen when it first came out, and I bloody loved it, as any kid that watched Frozen at that time did, and even any kid that watched it like way after. Frozen is a good fucking film, bro. Like Disney films are actually so good. Like, if you need something that's, you know, kind of philosophical but lighthearted at the same time and sing-songy, just watch a Disney film. You'll actually be okay. Life is really worth living if you just watch a Disney film. Hello. But Frozen was so funny to watch, because again, it's weird. It's like all the films that I've watched recently, rewatched, whatever it is, they all have like this consistent theme or pattern. Or maybe it's that like my brain is recognizing this theme and pattern and is just highlighting it every time, because maybe it's just like a lesson that I really want to learn. I wouldn't say need to learn, it's want to learn, because again, it's something that's just like I'm seeking out, I'm wanting it, I'm consuming that media, and I'm perceiving it that way. Elsa having the powers that she does, in the beginning of the film, it was seen as negative, and then towards the end of the film, it was seen as positive. It's like two truths can literally be true at the same time, because in the beginning of the film, when she didn't really have control of her powers, I'm not gonna lie to you, that was negative. It was, because, girl, what are you doing? You could kill someone. Hello, you always killed your sister. But at the same time, when she has control of her powers and, you know, there's no fear attached to it, it's a beautiful thing. And oh my god, girl, you literally made it snow during July. That is so beautiful. Hello. Watching a film like that just teaches you, like, not only there's so many themes in that film. What I took from it, and honestly, you can take, do you know what, let me sidetrack quickly. You can watch anything and just make it your own reality. Like, what the hell? You could literally listen to this podcast episode and make it about, I don't know, you can make it about trolls if you wanted to. You could make it about chocolate if you wanted to. Like, gosh, guys, the concept of just conceptualizing is so stupid but so funny and so cool at the same time. Anyways, watching Frozen, it just kind of taught me, like, the judgment that you have towards yourself will affect your reality. Again, with Elsa just like seeing her power as negative, it made her power negative anyways. Like, hello. Maybe if you just don't judge yourself in a negative way, things won't turn out negatively. Yes. Oh my god, period. Yeah, no, that literally is it. Like, because Anna, in the beginning, she never saw her powers as negative. Like, all Anna knew about Elsa's powers was that it was a positive thing. Like, oh my god, my sister can do this, my sister can do that. Meanwhile, as Elsa was growing up, she just kind of learned to, you know, conceal, don't feel, don't let them show, whatever it is she sings in that song. And then she's got like this side of herself where she's kind of scared to see how far her powers can go. Meanwhile, you got people like fucking Anna who is judging her powers in a positive way, and it's like, you can do so much with this is so awesome. And then Elsa, who's kind of flip-floppy about her decisions when it comes to her powers, and that ultimately affects her perception, which ultimately affects her reality, and everything is connected. And if you don't see how it's not connected, okay, I'm joking. Well, I'm not joking, but anyways. I honestly love just watching, you know, like old school films. And when I mean old school, I mean just films that I've grown up watching. Like Frozen, she's just that girl. I didn't even realize I could connect with it again as an adult, but somehow I did. And it's amazing, because it's like, well, clearly when I was watching it as a child, I was clearly drawn to it for a reason without even realizing. Like, yeah, you know, there's an ice queen and she can do so many cool things, and they build snowmans and there's literally a talking snowman, blah blah blah. But, you know, the older as you get, the more you start realizing that, like, everything kind of has a meaning, and the meaning is what you make of it. And the way you judge certain pieces of media can relate to you. Don't think that it can't, you know? Yeah, I think that's another lesson that I've learned as well, is like open-mindedness and just being willing to, well, not accept everything, but whatever is kind of just in my vision of reality. I'm gonna, well, this is like a new thing now that I'm like vowing to myself. I'm gonna judge it in just like a, whatever it makes me feel is something that I would just honor, and I'll explore deeper if I want to, or, but as long as it's done in a constructive way and not negative. Again, back to the gym thing, like if I'm gonna look at myself in the mirror and see that I've got back rolls, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I've got back rolls. I'm like, I've got back rolls, okay, let's work on it. I don't like them, but let's work on it. That's like a step in the right direction, and it's also tweaking my perception of reality and just making things a positive experience. I don't want to move through life anymore with stress on my back because I've got negative judgment in my heart. It's just not fun. It takes the fun and whimsy out of things, guys. Like, you can have a negative experience, but it doesn't have to be like, not okay, no, you can have negative judgments, but you don't have to make it a negative experience. And then just like letting that go and just letting everything be positive, even the negative, is just so like, life is worth living. Like, yes, I can, because I think another film that I've wrote on here is Love Jones. Guys, when I watched that the first time, I was 16. I'm 21 now, and I rewatched it, I think literally yesterday. Last night I rewatched it, and the stark difference in my opinions. So when I was 16, you could mention Love Jones to me and I will melt. I'm like, oh my God, I love that film. I love it so much. That is literally the epitome of romance. Like, duh, I love it. And I had a good judgment towards that film. But now that I've watched that film, and my perception of love has completely like changed. Dare I say, I think I'm becoming conservative. What is the rise of conservatism in Gen Z? Like, what's going on? Low-key, that's happening to me, because I be watching K-dramas. I'm like, yes, slow burn. That is the way to go. That is real love. I let myself watch that film and experience those negative judgments that I was feeling towards the film, because it was crucial for me to like come to a point of understanding where I see things, my perception of reality. Because when those like feelings were arising, I was like, oh, like, why is that all happening? It actually kind of like, at the same time I was realizing, I'm like, wait a sec, I was not thinking this when I was first watching the film. This is why, I implore you to rewatch a piece of media that you used to love back in the day, and then you watch it now. But even when it comes to like childhood shows, guys, the amount of times I've watched childhood shows and I'm like, oh, that's just so cringe, or the acting is so bad. It was basically kind of the same thing that happened when I was watching Love Jones. I was kind of cringing out and kind of like, oh, like, I wouldn't really do that. And then I was letting myself feel those things, because I'm like, this is going to be so interesting when the film ends. And I just put my opinion side by side, and that's exactly what I did. I let the film continue on. I continued watching the film, and I was like, do you know what, it wasn't so bad. Like, I was kind of overreacting, I was being dramatic as, these scenes were like going on, whatever. Completing the film gave me a well-rounded opinion, and that opinion is that I like a slow burn. I do like a slow burn, but also seeing their love story develop and unravel made me kind of realize that like everyone's story is unique, and their love story is still a love story nonetheless, and it's still beautiful. I still sat there and watched the film because I love love, and I love the idea of love, and I love seeing two black people fall in love in the most beautiful way, even if it's a way that I wouldn't want to happen. It doesn't matter if it happens or not. And that's where I kind of realized, I'm like, oh, actually, like, my judgment on it was negative, but it doesn't have to be. It's just like, yeah, it's negative, and that's not a bad thing, but let's look into that deeper. Like, why do I think it's a negative thing? Do you know? So let's dig into that deeper, I guess. What I'm trying to say is, just because my judgment towards certain parts of the film was negative doesn't mean that the entire film was a bad film. It was just like there were certain parts that I'm like, I'm okay to say that I don't agree with that, but I'm not gonna sit here and say that the execution of the film was horrible, because it's not. It's a film nonetheless, and I love films. Like, yes, you should watch it and be like, yeah, this is an interesting experience. I feel like when you see things from like a yin and yang perspective, and seeing that opposites attracting does form an equilibrium, like it maintains an equilibrium, that's kind of where the beauty of it comes. That's like, you can look at a film and be like, hey, do you know what, I didn't agree with the whole film, but I still liked the film because it challenged my perception on things. It challenged like the way I approach certain things, and it's different, but I can still see it and be like, you know what I mean? Like, it's an enriching experience because you know what you like and what you don't like. But when you are watching or consuming any piece of media with an open mind, you might come out with a different perspective completely and be like, do you know what? At one point, I did watch Love Jones and was super obsessed and super melty about it. But I was open enough, I guess, to watch the film again with a completely new mindset that, you know, because I've grown up now, with a completely new mindset, and then still kind of honor the way that I felt when I first watched it, but then also realize that like my opinions have like evolved and developed and changed, and the negative judgments that I have towards the film isn't negative, if that makes sense. Like, it's a positive thing. It's a good thing that I've got those opinions, because that's kind of what makes my perception a positive thing in the first place. I can look at the film and be like, so I don't like this about the film, but that's why I continued watching it, because I was exploring. I'm like, this is so weird. Let me dig deeper. Like, why is it that I feel weird towards this? And whether you fuck on the first night or not is none of my business. Hey girl, listen. The funniest thing is, when I was watching that, I was like, oh my god, like, that's so... No, you shouldn't do that. But girl, I kid you not, if there was a third S... Why am I speaking with this accent? If the situation calls for it in that moment, I'm not gonna... Listen, things happen the way they happen. And the funniest thing is, actually, in the film, Nina's the main character. She literally says to herself like, no, I'm not the type to do that. I wouldn't do that. That's just no. And then she ends up doing it anyways, because that's just kind of how life goes. Like, yeah, you're gonna perceive something to be negative, like you're gonna have a negative judgment towards it, but until you are in that position where you can actually like see it for yourself and then make a decision towards that with like your judgment. Sorry guys, I was burping, I can't lie. But anyways, when you get put in that position, that's when you can kind of make a decision. And listen, the decision you make will probably most likely be different from the negative judgment that you had anyways. So yeah, I kind of saw myself in her. I was like, oh, like, I don't agree with it either, but here I am watching you do it, and I'm kind of rooting for you guys, and I'm like rooting for you guys to be together, even though like the way you guys fell in love is kind of unconventional in my eyes. I'm still here rooting for you anyways, because it doesn't matter about my negative judgment. What matters is the fact that everything kind of just works together in tandem and happens in a way where it like is divine and ends up being a positive experience regardless of the negative judgment. That, yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here, because I feel like I'm saying the same thing again and again, but honestly the sentiment literally is like, judgment and perception work hand in hand, and neither are a negative or a positive thing. It just kind of is, and it's so beautiful seeing it manifest into real life and seeing how it can manifest your real life as well. But yeah, I hope you liked this episode. Low-key, I don't know if what I said landed or if I was speaking in circles. I am thinking to like add some more structure into my episode, but in order for that to happen, guys, I need to add some more structure into my life. Let me be so fucking real. I'm slowly doing that. Like, a girl's going to the gym now. What? I would have never said that 2 years ago, but a girl's going to the gym now. So yeah, not hopefully, there will be more content from me. You just gotta be patient, love. You just gotta be patient, all right? Like, I'm just figuring it out. I'm literally a fish in the water. I'm just trying to figure it out, all right? But yeah, I hope you liked that episode. Let me know what you think, what you want to hear me talk about, who you want to hear from as well. If you want to even include yourself in this episode, because it's a small podcast anyways, like, shout me and be like, hey, I like you, let's talk. I'm like, hey, okay. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, make sure you follow me on all my socials at http.brianna, BRIANAX. Make sure you spell my name right, bitch. Okay. That's my TikTok and Instagram handle, and then at the Socks of Podcast XO on Instagram, and then at the Socks of Podcast on TikTok, and then obviously, like, make sure you're on all streaming platforms. This will definitely be on all streaming platforms. And yeah, this was lovely. This was a nice catch up. I hope I do more of these catch ups. I hope as well. I hope. Instead of saying I hope, I'm just gonna start saying I will. And I will be going to the gym right now after this. I've been procrastinating all day, but I've got gains to gain. Okay. Anyways, see you later. Hear from you later. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.